Calaroga Shark Media. Hello and welcome to Ghost. This episode is titled The Ghost Under the Bed.
In the quaint, picturesque town of Willow Creek, nestled in a serene valley surrounded by whispering forests, there existed a house that bore an unseen mark of dread. The Hemlock residence, with its charming facade and flower-filled gardens, held within its walls a sinister secret that would forever alter the life of young Emily Hemlock. Emily, a bright-eyed 4-year-old with a cascade of curly blonde hair, had always been sensitive to the world around her. She saw beauty in the smallest things, a trait that filled her parents, Jonathan and Elise Hemlock, with pride. But along with her delicate perception came a vulnerability to the unseen and unspoken. It began subtly. At night, when the house creaked and sighed under the weight of silence, Emily started hearing whispers. They were faint at first, as if carried on a breeze from far away. She told her parents, but they dismissed it as a child's vivid imagination. As days passed, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to emanate from under her bed, a place children often fear, but where parents assure them nothing lurks. One night, as the moon cast a pale light through her window, Emily heard the whispers turn into a voice that chilled her to the bone. "Emily," it hissed, dragging out her name like a serpentine slither. "Come to me, Emily." Frozen with fear, Emily clutched her teddy bear, her only source of comfort in the face of the unknown terror that hid in the shadows beneath her. The voice continued, a malevolent lullaby that promised both companionship and torment. Her parents, busy with their lives and certain it was just nightmares, failed to grasp the severity of Emily's fear. They consoled her with hugs and kisses, oblivious to the true nature of the terror their daughter faced each night. One evening, when the house lay enveloped in a suffocating stillness, the entity under the bed revealed itself. Emily, lying in her bed, eyes wide with terror, saw a pair of luminescent eyes staring back at her from the darkness. They glowed with a malevolent light, and as they fixed on her, she felt a coldness seep into her bones. The eyes belonged to a ghostly figure, its form barely discernible in the gloom. It whispered promises of taking her away to a land of endless play, a place where she would never be alone again. But the sinister undertone of its voice betrayed its true intentions. That night, Emily's screams filled the house, sending Jonathan and Elise rushing to her side. They found her huddled in a corner, her eyes wild with an unspeakable terror. She spoke of the ghost, of the eyes under the bed, but her words were dismissed as the result of a vivid nightmare. However, the encounter left a lasting scar on Emily's psyche. She became withdrawn, her once bright and cheerful demeanor replaced by a perpetual state of anxiety and fear. Her parents, concerned, sought the help of doctors and therapists, but the damage was deep-seated. As Emily grew, the ghost under the bed continued to haunt her. It became her constant, unwelcome companion, a specter that lurked in the shadows of her mind, always waiting, always whispering. Her childhood, once filled with laughter and joy, turned into a never-ending nightmare from which she could not wake. Years passed, and the Hemlock residents saw Emily transform from a vibrant child into a troubled soul. Her eyes, once sparkling with innocence, now reflected a depth of fear and understanding far beyond her years. The ghost under the bed, an entity born of shadows and malice, had woven itself into the fabric of her existence, a constant reminder of the night her world was turned upside down. Emily's days were filled with a pervasive sense of dread. She avoided her bedroom, finding solace in the daylight and the presence of others. But as night fell and she lay in her bed, the familiar whispers would start again, slithering out from the darkness beneath her. Her parents, Jonathan and Elise, watched helplessly as their daughter battled her unseen tormentor. They installed nightlights, checked under the bed each evening, and offered words of comfort, but nothing could alleviate the terror that gripped Emily's heart. The entity's influence began to manifest in more sinister ways. Objects in Emily's room would move on their own, her toys found in disarray, as if played with by unseen hands. Shadows seemed to creep and shift when she was alone, forming shapes that defied explanation. School became a challenge for Emily. Her peers, unaware of her nightly ordeal, could not understand the haunted look in her eyes or her jumpiness at the slightest noise. Whispered rumors and sidelong glances followed her through the hallways, isolating her further in her private world of fear. Therapists diagnosed Emily with various disorders, prescribing medications and treatments, but nothing could silence the ghostly whispers that plagued her. Sleep became elusive, a battleground where she fought for peace against the spectre that refused to let her be. As Emily entered her teenage years, the ghost's presence grew more oppressive. It spoke of dark secrets and hidden truths, of a life beyond the veil where she would never be free of its grasp. Its words were a poison, seeping into her thoughts, tainting her perception of reality. Her parents, desperate to help their daughter, delved into the history of their home. They uncovered tales of tragedy and loss, of a previous occupant whose life was marked by sorrow and whose death was shrouded in mystery. It was as if the house itself was imbued with a lingering sadness, a sadness that had found its way to Emily. Jonathan and Elise sought the help of mediums and spiritualists, hoping to cleanse their home of the malevolent presence. Rituals were performed, prayers were said, but the ghost under the bed remained, a malevolent force bound to Emily, feeding off her fear. The story of Emily Hemlock and the ghost under her bed became a whispered legend in Willow Creek. People spoke of the haunted Hemlock residence, of the young girl tormented by an unseen force. Some offered sympathy, others skepticism, but none could truly comprehend the depth of Emily's suffering. Emily's life, once full of potential, was overshadowed by the ghost that had chosen her as its victim. The bright future she might have had was lost in the shadows that haunted her every step. She lived in a world where the line between reality and nightmare was blurred, where every moment was a struggle against the terror that lurked just out of sight. And so, the ghost under the bed, a sinister entity born of tragedy and darkness, continued its reign of terror, a reminder of the unseen horrors that can lurk in the most innocent of places, waiting to ensnare the unwary in a web of perpetual fear.
Ghost is a Calaroga Shark media production, written and hosted by Alexander Ian McIntyre, produced by Mark Francis, executive producers Mark Francis and John McDermott. Portions of this podcast may have been created with the assistance of AI. Calaroga Shark Media.